We talked about what the problems are. We know that all of us struggle with how to respond to some of this nonsense. What are the solutions, right? So what are the solutions? What having this conversation, how can we what can we do to kind of like improve and do better for our people? What are the solutions that you guys think we should be implementing?
Honestly, we're already doing them. I mean, we both are preaching to the choir here.
Yeah.
We do what we supposed to do.
Okay.
Right? Y'all got the camp. Right? What did I tell you? Damn, I was thinking about doing a camp too. Any way I can help out, jump in, just call me and I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Not a problem. Right? When you call me, if this is last minute, you call me, I say, oh, Jimmy, this ain't about nothing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Now, if I had something, it'd be different. But call anytime, whatever. That's what it's supposed to be. So we already doing what we're supposed to do. But
we brothers in the same struggle.
Right. But I mean, I know we got to talk about the audience, right? So what should happen? Listen to reputable people. And then when you find those reputable people, research those reputable people. And then when Corey, Jimmy, Tracy, Courtney, Malik, anybody says anything, research it. Anybody else, research it. Because I know we all say that, right? Yeah. Research our shit. And that's the one thing that I love about us is like all our stuff is coming from a place of education or experience or both. And we're not afraid for somebody to go do fact checking on us. Ain't none of us Trump. Ain't none of us screaming fake news. We're saying, go get it, go look at it, and then we can discuss it further. And I think that's what has to happen. But for that to happen, folks really have to stop being intellectually lazy.
Okay, Corey, you got any thoughts on that?
I mean, I already see, I don't really like to say what I really think about people because then it'll get me in trouble.
What are you not being honest, brother?
All right, so I'm just going to... I think people are stupid, right? So I think the vast majority of people are stupid because they don't read, right? So
we just said the same thing, but you just said
you said a whole different way.
You just you made me say it. So you said I wasn't being honest, so I'm just going to say I think the vast majority of people are stupid because they don't read, right? And because they don't read, they keep falling for the same okie doke and the same tricks, right? And so they can keep running the same play over and over again because nobody recognizes the play because nobody reads. Nobody knows. Like they listen to the word of some other dude I'm just gonna say they listen to the European word instead of the black people word about what our ancestors, who our ancestors were, right? Our ancestors were hated in not, they were not loved, right? And they were unpopular because they were trying to do the right thing for the people at the time and in the space that they were in. And so when you have an ignorant base in somebody who's trying to take that veil of ignorance away, people don't want that, right? People like to live blissfully in their ignorance.
But I think it's values though, Core, because let's see.
No. Let me finish. Let me finish this thought out. Right. So when people like to live blissfully in their ignorance and you try to take that veil of ignorance, it's like trying to take a blanket from a 3-year-old. Right? If you give a 3-year-old a blanket and they become comfortable with that blanket and you try to take it from them, even if to try to wash the blanket and give it back to them, you're gonna meet resistance, right? And that's how I look at our people. I look at our people like a 3-year-old holding a blanket, right? And so we gotta get rid of that mentality of that dependent mentality, right? Let's go do some research on the things that let's become the people that we want to be, right? And I know it's hard to do research like when you got 3 jobs and 3 kids and you working 20 hours a day and you trying to sleep. Like if I'm working 20 hours a day and I'm feeding my family, what the hell am I supposed to read? And my answer to that is if you don't educate yourself, your family is always going to be in danger, right? And so the first thing we got to do is educate ourselves, right? And so let's educate ourselves about who people and especially our ancestors really were, and let's do some reading, right? And get reading material from reputable sources, right? And then we can start to overcome a lot of this stuff, right? Because a lot of the way I am is because I've read about what our ancestors have been through and what this country has done to the people that look like me. And so this is why I don't trust nothing that come out of the mouths of European people. I don't trust anything that comes out.
But I want to add something to that conversation though, Corey, because I think that I understand where you're coming from, but we got to be honest too. a lot of our ancestors were trash. They always
They
been
were.
agents. They've been agents
But you
and
can
fraud and
read, and you
shucksters.
can. My thing
You know what I
is,
mean?
you
Like,
can find
so
that
it's
out.
not a new thing. This is not a new thing. They've
You can
always
find that
been
out if you read though.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying,
And you
like,
can find how to put it.
I think a lot of times we tend, and not talking about you, Cor, I'm saying in general, we tend to romanticize like but there was a lot of
We had a gang of trash ancestors, but the thing is, you can figure out that they were trash if you read, right? You don't know if they were trash or not, right? Like, so let's say somebody controversial, right? Let's just say not controversial. Let's just say Marcus Garvey, right? Depending on who you're talking to, he could be either trash or he could be the greatest black man
no,
that
that's
lived
absolutely
in
no,
the
that's true.
19th century.
That's true. That's
right?
true.
Right. If you listen to some people, they tell you that Martin Luther King was trash behind the scenes, but then you look at his body of work above the scenes, or you could say Medgar Evers, or you could say this Kwame
No,
Ture.
I understand that, but I'm
name
just
1,000 of our ancestors.
you can do it about anybody, right? It all depends upon your vantage point, right? So it's a
right?
line from
Let's just say Muammar Gaddafi, right? If you listen to some people, they'll tell you that Muammar Gaddafi was the worst dude and the absolute worst dictator and tyrant in the world. But if you look at his body of work, he did a lot of things for the African community and the American community here that nobody wants to talk about.
I understand that, but listen, hear me out though. All I'm saying is, it's a line from Scandal where the dude Cyrus Beam says, "Everybody's right and everybody's wrong. Just depends upon your vantage point, right?" And just what he was saying is, to your point, depending upon who you talk to, you get these different stories. But I just want to make sure that when people say that, because a lot of times we tell people read and do your research, but I think that one of the things we got to do in getting to the solutions part is to actually show people how to do that, right? Because it's one thing to think, how to read, how to research, right? Because we say that all the time, but you could, to your point, Cor, you go read the wrong thing and you may end up worse off than before you started, right? So we have to learn how to figure out like who's funding this, where's this thing coming from, and I think that's a whole language or conversation that no one's having at all. It's easy to say, and that includes us. Like we always say,
for sure. One thing is, you got to read and take notes, right?
You got to read and take notes, but you also, I think, to Jimmy's point, right? You got to read opposing views. So one thing is saying the sky is blue.
Yes.
You got to find another book that says the sky is red, because normally there's something that's overlapping that's called the truth in between. And no, a lot of us don't do that.